Well, hello. This is Dr. Joshua Smith coming to you live from my sanctorium. I realize that I have provided no notice for this video, and it has come as a surprise. So some of you all are will see this later, and it will not see it in its live format, and that's fine. Um, However, some of you all do have the pleasure of seeing this now, and so this is very exciting. I have 30 minutes before my next session, actually 24 to be precise, if I start on time, which would be rare. Um, the um, the purpose of this video has been in response to a group that I did last week on diagnosing superheroes with mental health disorders, and that was a lot of fun. And we will be doing some of that today, but we are also doing a little cloak and dagger action because tomorrow is my mother's birthday. It is very exciting. And last year, some of you all donated to the Out of the Darkness walk um, for my mom's birthday, and that was her favorite present. So I have attached the link to my mother's Out of the Darkness page. So if any of you all can make a donation for her birthday, I will leave her age anonymous out of respect for her as a woman. So, with that being said, as filler and a reinforcer to keep you here, I will be diagnosing superheroes. If anybody cares to comment with a superhero that you would like me to diagnose, me and my license and my brain are at your disposal. To diagnose the superheroes, we will be using this, the DSM-5, the gold standard when it comes to diagnosing individuals. So, of course, we're going to look at Marvel superheroes first because they are the most fascinating. I will indulge you in your DC heroes if you would like, but the DC villains are by far more interesting. So our first clarification for diagnosis comes in the form of Iron Man, who is Kylo Ren is definitely a superhero, so we'll get to him. Iron Man is a fascinating when it comes diagnostically. So, first of all, if you go with the movies, they make a clear representation that he has post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of the events in the first Avengers movie, and where he almost died and came out of the wormhole. This is clearly demonstrated in Iron Man 3. Now, one of the things that the movies do not show, because it's a little dark. And I remember the days when I was the only one who knew who Iron Man was, and nobody else knew who he was. But in the comic books, Iron Man was addicted to alcohol and heroin, if you can believe it, which does not play well into a Disney audience. So he has opioid and alcohol addiction, and I would say he also meets criteria for major depressive disorder as well. So that's Iron Man. We also have a request for the Hulk, but before we get to the Hulk, my good friend Jamie requested Kylo Ren, who, we have to make sure that this is all on the level, and some people do not realize that there are Star Wars comic books, and they are made by Marvel, so that is why Kylo Ren counts as a superhero. So Kylo Ren, fascinating. And I don't know if I have all the proper information to make an adequate diagnosis on him. I think we're going to learn a lot about him in episode 9. I am going to say that Kylo Ren does have major depressive disorder, and I believe he has complicated grief disorder, because while he did not have a much personal relationship with Darth Vader, Dr. Keeling, feel free to participate in the diagnoses of these superheroes. I believe that he's had a complicated grief reaction to the death of Anakin Skywalker, so I'm going with that for our good friend Kylo Ren. And childhood trauma, yes, and his uncle tried to kill him, so that was a thing. The trauma plays a role, and so maybe an acute stress disorder. I don't know. We'll learn more in episode 9, that's for sure. So good insights by Miss Strang, as always. A woman very intelligent. Now, the Hulk is one of my favorites because he is one that has definitely it's been explored a lot in the comic books and in various incarnations of the movie. The most obvious one is intermittent explosive disorder. And the one that I use in therapy all the time is the scene from the first Avengers movie where he comes up to New York on a scooter and Captain America says, Dr. Banner, now would be a good time for you to get angry. And then he's like, I'm always angry. And he turns into the Hulk and smashes the big robot dragon down. And excellent analogy for me because I deal with a lot of children with anger problems, and the Hulk is a good example of anger management. In the 70s TV show, he was depressed a lot, and in the Hulk movie that was just called Hulk, that wasn't very good and that we don't talk about, his dad murdered his mom, which was sad, but that's really not been done other places. So, but it is, from a diagnostic perspective, very important to consider. So that's the Hulk. Now, when we look at, this is also a big source of my information here. This is a very popular book here at the office. You can see I bought this new less than a year ago, and it is well used, as evidenced by the duct tape. So we had a lot of good discussions about various superheroes and the issues that they deal with. Now, one of the ones that they really got me on was they were trying to they asked me to diagnose Thanos. Now, Thanos is so freaking interesting because we haven't really seen a villain like him before. And so he's not just out in left field. He's making, his reasoning, while I don't agree with, has some points to it. And there's other people that go along with his reasoning and try to achieve his goal. So he's not completely in left field, but still, he does take his thought processes to extremes, and due to that, I had to go with disorder. Delusionist disorder combined with grandiose thinking. So, very fascinating. Now let's talk a minute about Thor. Thor was an interesting bloke, and he is way more interesting in the movies than he was in the comic books. And he was so boring in the comic books. And so I have loved the movies. I love the way that Chris Hemsworth interprets him, and especially Thor Ragnarok was great. And then this latest Infinity Wars. And they have that one really nice scene in Infinity Wars where he is talking to Rocket the Raccoon, and talking about all the things that he's lost and all the sacrifices that he's made. And I do believe that Thor is dealing with a major depressive disorder and masking his feelings. And and we have that great moment of empathy between Rocket and Thor, where Rocket goes up to him and he's like, "Dead brother, huh? That's annoying." Which me and my brother Jordan find hilarious. Okay. Other comic book characters to consider. Let's see here. There's so many good ones to look at. When you look at Spider-Man, I don't think Spider-Man really has a disorder per se. He definitely experiences problems, and he does, throughout the course of the comics, struggle with grief. Starting off, obviously, with his uncle, and moving on to others. But he finds meaning through dealing with his grief, and while it's, in a real life atmosphere, you would say that wasn't appropriate in the comic book setting. I mean, he's accomplishing good things, and he's not as broody as Batman. He has some problems maintaining relationships. In fact, it'll be interesting what they do with this newest series, because in the comics, it's not just Mary J. There's several young ladies that Peter Parker becomes attached to and attracted to. So, but he definitely the other thing that's interesting about Peter Parker is starts off as a teenager in the comics, and so he's growing and developing as it's going along, and so this is one of the benefits of child therapy, is that even if you are not doing great therapy, that the people still improve just through natural growth and progress. So that's always an added benefit. Now, let's see. Loki. See, I believe that Loki has what we call histrionic personality disorder. And, that's why, he's not necessarily a bad guy. He has the problems in his rearing, being adopted and not being aware that he was adopted can cause some problems, and definitely deals with jealousy associated with his brother. But he just kind of likes drama for the sake of drama. All right, Mr. Treater, Red Skull. Oh, what a great character. And I have to say, um, not really done well in the movies, not to his full potential, because he was one of the key villains in Captain America. And in that very first Captain America, the first Avenger, he was good. He was kind of a plot device in Infinity Wars. Um, but I believe that Red Skull, more than any other Marvel character, has narcissistic personality disorder, where he believes that he has a divine right to these abilities that he acquires, and lacks the proper humility that Steve Rogers has before his abilities, and which makes them such a great counterbalance. The greatest hero villain combinations have such a great balance to them, and they're opposites. Superman with his strength and all of his talents and abilities against the cunning and the intelligence of Lex Luthor. Batman and the Joker, two sides of doing things outside the norm. And Captain America with powers and humility, and Red Skull with powers and pride are just such a great counterbalance to each other. So, yes, Red Skull, narcissistic personality disorder. Now, let's talk about Captain America for a minute. He is many people's favorite Avenger. And and his disorder gets confused all the time because people think they think he's depressed, but he's not really depressed. Um, in my group, I think the young men were getting confused about what was the nature of what Captain America was going through. They kept on telling me he was going through amnesia. He remembered. He was basically in a coma through decades. And Captain America is dealing with adjustment disorder with depressed mood. And this, he is not used to the time that he is living in. He is not used to how values have changed, how technology has changed, and he is just rushing to catch up. The movies explore this to a certain extent, and then there's just that great scene in the first Avengers where he's just punching out the punching bags and just taking them down, and that is pretty awesome. But I would like to have seen that explored a little more, and I am very curious to see what happens to Mr. Steve Rogers in the next Avengers movie, and also very interested to see if he survives the next Avengers movie. And I see that we have Miss Emily Smith on here watching, and Mrs. Smith, feel free to comment with any superheroes that you would like me to diagnose. I'm always here to help. Now the one that I want to talk about lastly from DC, I'm doing my videos, these people will have to wait. My favorite DC character is the Joker. He is amazing, and the Joker is the perfect example of antisocial personality disorder. He just wants to cause mayhem. Does he look like a guy with a plan? And he just wants to cause chaos, and that just is what makes him so much fun. Um, so this was a spontaneous endeavor. Like I said, I had a little bit of time. I thought I would do this Doctor Strange, completely healthy in every way. I love me Doctor Strange. Um, I believe that Doctor Strange uh, struggles with he struggles with some narcissism. Very proud individual. Uh, the so you know I also think that he has it's either an adjustment disorder or depression, and that's brought on about the loss of his ability to do his profession. If I had lost the ability to be an amazing psychologist, I would be depressed. Um, so that would be rough. But unless I lose my voice, I'm all good to go. Um, and so now, for those of you who are watching live and all those of you who are watching this later, remember we are all doing this under the cloak of darkness. This is all hidden to raise money for my mother for the Out of the Darkness walk as a birthday gift for her because tomorrow is her birthday and she is uh, uh, a pretty awesome woman. Emily says Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer style, which is my favorite Catwoman. Uh, Histrionic personality disorder, and dang good at it. Um, she is all over the place, and she has a hard time uh, um, maintaining her own individual identity. More, and I know a lot of these individuals have dual identities, but Catwoman, she gets a little blurred, especially in Batman Returns Catwoman. Um, Michelle Pfeiffer went all out on that, and my favorite scene in that movie is when she does the flip, 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 and then she shows up in front of Batman and Penguin and says meow, and then it explodes. All right, I gotta go do therapy. I hope you all have enjoyed this. We'll do more of this later. Feel free to comment with other people. Ooh, good. Good one, Mr. Treater, Metallo. Alright, I'm going to have to do some research. I got to go do therapy for money. So the link to donate to the Out of the Darkness walk for my mom is attached to this video. Comment with who else you want me to take a look at, and I will get to those. I'll talk to you later. Bye.